You have tried everything. The breathing exercises, the journaling, maybe the medication, maybe even the therapy. And some of it helped, a little for a while. But the anxiety came back. It always came back. And here's the question nobody is asking. What if the problem was never in your nervous system? What if your mind keeps returning to fear because it has been trained to anchor to the wrong thing entirely? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to see anxiety differently. Not as a disorder to manage, as a signal that your mind is gripping something it was never designed to hold. Paul writes in Romans 12, verse 2, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Not managed, not stabilized, transformed. That word in the original Greek is metamorphoo, the same root as metamorphosis. God is not describing a tune-up. He is describing a complete restructuring of how you think. Before we go further, I want to plant the anchor verse for this whole video. It is Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Notice something important. Paul does not say stop feeling anxious and try harder. He gives a mechanism: prayer, supplication, thanksgiving. And then he names what God does in response. He guards. The peace of God is not a mood. It is a posted sentry. It stands at the entrance of your thoughts and decides what gets through. That is not emotional language. That is military language. And it means the peace God provides is active, structured, and specifically placed at the door of your mind. Truth number one: God does not calm your anxious mind. He rebuilds it. Here's what most people miss. They come to God asking Him to make the anxiety quieter, to turn the volume down on the fear. And God's answer is not a volume knob. It is a blueprint. Think about it this way. A city planner does not fix a grid of roads built on a floodplain by repaving them. He surveys the land, maps new elevation, and lays an entirely different road system on higher ground. The old roads do not disappear overnight. For a season, both grids exist. But every car that chooses the new road is one more car that stops using the old one. Eventually, the old roads crack from disuse. The new ones hold the weight of everything. That is Romans 12:2. Transformation is not resurfacing. It is rerouting. God is not patching your worry. He is laying new infrastructure, thought by thought, truth by truth, until the peace road becomes the one your mind defaults to. Truth number two: what you rehearse in your mind is what your mind prepares for. Philippians 4 verse 8 says this: "Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, think about these things." That is not a self-help suggestion. That is a rehearsal schedule. Think about it this way. A theater company that has rehearsed a tragedy for 6 months straight will perform a tragedy on opening night, even if the marquee outside now reads comedy. The stage crew knows the lighting cues for grief. The actors' bodies remember the blocking for loss. You cannot run tragedy rehearsals every morning and then wonder why your mind performs fear by noon. Philippians 4:8 is a director handing the company a completely different script and saying, "Rehearse this one every day until your instincts belong to the new story." Anxiety changes behavior. Renewed thinking changes instinct. That is not the same thing. Truth number three: peace is not the absence of pressure. It is the presence of a guard. A lighthouse does not stop the storm from forming offshore. It does not flatten the waves or silence the wind. What it does is stand at a fixed point with a fixed light, so that every ship in the darkness knows exactly where the rocks are and exactly where the safe channel runs. Philippians 4:7 uses a word for guard that means a military garrison, a stationed force. God does not promise you a calmer sea. He stations a sentry at the door of your thoughts so that what has no business entering cannot get through. The storm can be real, the pressure can be real, and the guard can still be at his post. That is not denial, that is protection. So let me ask you 3 honest questions. First, where does your mind go in the first 60 seconds after you wake up? Before you reach for the phone, before the day begins, because the mind's first move reveals its default anchor. If it goes straight to the problem list, the anchor is circumstance, not Christ. Second, when the worst-case scenario starts playing in your head, what truth do you actually reach for to stop it? Not what you wish you reached for. What do you actually grab? If you cannot name a specific verse or a specific attribute of God in that moment, your mind has not yet been given new material to rehearse. And third, is your prayer a daily surrender or an emergency exit? Anxiety returns fastest to those who only bring God in after the spiral has already started. The guard works at the door, not from inside the room after the intruder has arrived. Listen to Philippians 4 verses 6 and 7 one more time, slowly. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. The phrase surpasses all understanding means this peace does not require you to have figured everything out first. It does not wait for your circumstances to make sense. It arrives before the answer does. That is what makes it supernatural. Human peace is the result of resolved problems. God's peace is the result of a stationed guard, present before the problem is solved, holding the line while you wait. Picture a single figure seated at a plain wooden desk in early morning light. No phone, no screen, just an open Bible, a pen, and one piece of paper. And on that paper they are writing one sentence: what is true about God today? The room is not decorated, the window shows weather, but the figure's posture is not braced against the storm outside. It is oriented toward the page. That is the new road being chosen. That is the rehearsal. That is the guard being posted before the day begins. The rewiring does not happen in the moment of crisis. It happens in the 10 quiet minutes before the crisis ever arrives. Start there. One sentence, one truth, one morning. Let God build the new road from there. If this message opens something for you today, comment "renewed mind" below. I read every single one. And if you know someone who has tried everything and still cannot find peace, share this video with them. Like it so more people can hear this. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper into what the Bible actually says about the battles we face in our own minds. God has not left your mind the way He found it, and He is not finished yet.